Hello, this is the St. John Fine Arts School Nelson Math Focus 6 podcast. I'm Mr. Burko. This is Chapter 6, Lesson 7, Communicating About Ratios and Percents. It's our last video for Chapter 6, and let's get started. Our goal today is to use clear language to describe how to solve ratio and percent problems. You might remember doing this at other chapters where they give us a problem and they give us an answer from a character in the textbook, and we have to elaborate on their answer. Well, that's exactly what we're going to do today. Evan is a character in our book who is going to buy a bicycle, and the bicycle costs $130. He needs to cover 40% of this cost. His parents said they will pay the rest. So he made a calculation, and this is his answer. Half is $65. 40% is less than half. Since it's 10% less, I need to save $52. Evan has the right answer, but he doesn't really have a good explanation of how he got his answer. So what I would like you to do is tell me what Evan can do to explain his answer a little bit better. I would like you to put the presentation on pause for 2 seconds and just think of 1 or 2 things that you think he might do to improve. Go ahead. Welcome back. Hopefully you put that on pause, and now we can take a look at how we can improve Evan's answer. Question A asks, use Daniel's suggestions to improve Evan's explanation. Well, Daniel says this: Evan could explain why he started with half and how he knew half was $65. He could also explain how he knew that 40% was less than half. And he could also say that how he got $52 and how $52 related to 10%, and he should have checked his answer. So here's how we're going to do. We'll say that 40% is less than 50. We can see that quite clearly because 40 is less than 50. 50% is the same as 50 over 100, or also the same as 1 over 2. And we get that by dividing 50 by itself. That gets 1. And if we have to divide 50 by itself, then we have to divide 100 by 50, which gives us 2. Now, we know that 130 divided by 2 is the same as 100 divided by 2 and 30 divided by 2. And what that gives us is 50 over here, 100 divided by 2, and 30 divided by 2, that's 15. So 50 plus 15, and that equals 65. So that's what half of 130 is. If 50% of 130 is 65, we can get 10% by dividing by 5. So 10% of 100 is 10, and we know that. So what we can do is we know that 10% of 50, which is half of 100, would be half of 10. That's 5. So 65 divided by 5 is 13. And so that's our answer. 13 is 10%. So what he needs to get 40%, he needs $13 less than $65. So the answer, the number of dollars that he needs to save, Evan needs to save, is $52. To check his answer, what he can do is he can divide 52 by 4, and that gives him 13. You can use a calculator, or you can use some blocks or manipulatives. And 10 times 13 is 130. So just double checking his answer there. Another way that we can do that is question B. What diagram might improve Evan's explanation? How would it improve his explanation? And it is a number line. We worked with number lines in our last lesson, and here's an example of what we can do. I've marked the 50% mark here first, and then that's $65, and our 100% is $130. Now, in order to find out where the 10% are, we would divide that by our same calculations as our last problem there, and we found what is happening is we're going by 13s. 13, 26, 39, 52. Those are all 10%. Okay, so we divided that by 5, and we found that it was 13. And we can see clearly here that 40 is 10% less, 30 is less, 20 is less, 10% is less. We're going up in increments to 13, 26, 39, 52. And it's a way to check our answer. Probably the first one is better, but this one works as well if you're a person who needs a visual representation. So that's the end of our podcast. Thanks for joining.